John Cacchione here with Earthworks. Usually pretty sunny, but today we were working with a little bit of different forecast, as you can see. We are at Atlantic Beach right now, very nice neck of the woods down here. So you can see we're demoing today. So up front up here we'll do grasses and things like that. There's will be some color over here. I'll have kind of a little stream of gold with a sedum, so it'll snake through there, and some cool succulents on the outside where dogs and stuff like to go to the bathroom, so that won't get hurt. And then just some other color pockets up here. They really like to have annuals, so this will be a big bed of flowers and things like that. They're just low maintenance. It's gonna start raining on us now. The house takes up most of the lot, so it leaves the beds pretty small on the outsides and still room to maneuver around in. So here we'll have a cool little seating area, a little bench with some hydrangeas in it. Everything back here is a little bit more protected from the salt, so it's totally different from the front yard that we just saw. Back here we can use some things that are a little softer and things that don't require so much care for the salt content. The irrigation was messed up here for a while, so you can see what happens to your plants if they go dry. Even in the fall, people, it burns them up. So this is what happens when your irrigation system is funky. So we're coming out here, we're redoing all that as well. You can see we're taking out some plants here. This will be a really nice border. The idea in small gardens is to do some taller elements with the palms, but then lower plants and little drifts of plants that take your eye down the pathway. You can see how the pathway is not just straight, it has some curve to it, so that adds a lot of interest. You can see how we tied the old antique brick into the paver, and it became a really nice look. Sometimes it's hard to match textures like that. I think this turned out really nice. We also added a little retaining wall back here just to gain a little bit more height. So that's another way to steal about 18 inches of height without having humongous plants in here. This area is protected and covered. It gets a little bit of sunlight through the outside perimeter out here. And it's very visible from the inside of the house. There's a big picture window over here. You come through the front door and you see everything that's on this patio. So alongside this bed here, we'll have a lot of these Thai plants that we reused from the front yard. We're gonna add some Scheffeleras, and then I'm gonna do some bougainvilleas that climb up over this fence and give us all the color on the street out there. This is a cool one-way street, so that'll just be a bunch of just flowers just spilling out there, so that'll be really neat.
Hey, good morning, it's Danny. I'm the foreman on this job. It's an interesting job because we have some different plants over here that we don't normally use. This rock's actually really pretty. The other colors and stuff will come out in the stones that you can't see right now because they're pretty dirty. So once this is all washed out, this will be really pretty. And we always dig it out. We dug out a lip so it will retain it and not just get washed away. So I actually got another piece I got to cut, and the weed mat will come out to here, and this edge will kind of lock in all the stone right here. I got to cap a line right here. I'm gonna cap that in a second and finish stapling down the mat, and we'll be pretty good over here. We got a fan palm and some ball vine over here. This was fun to try to move yesterday. These things are so sharp, and this thing is heavy. Show you an interesting problem that we just ran into a minute ago, is that we're adding into the drain right here, and we were gonna put a drain box right here. But the problem my guy discovered, and he said he hit a root, and I thought, he just hit a little root. There's an entire 15-inch tree stump down here. It goes from here to here, and they just built over that probably, who knows how many years ago. Their property wraps around pretty nice, and they got an underdeck over here. These are actually just staged up right here. These are gonna be going along the other side behind us in that row. These Japanese junipers, they'll be spaced out properly. Because there's so many different plants and everything, I really want to get everything laid out and get some pictures before I bury a single plant. So those will be coming up to here. Those juniper bushes will be going right along here. And then we have some foxtail, and they'll be wrapping all the way through here. And I think it's gonna be pretty nice. It's been a good day so far.
Look, not good. When you live at the beach, I mean, this happens. This is a very tight street, as you can see, a one-way street at the beach. If you live here, you're familiar with them. This was our Hollywood juniper decorated for Christmas. And Johnny, if you get a shot of the top of it, it is missing and is now on the ground. But it will grow back, so there is hope. The rest of the garden is still intact, so that's good. This house gets a lot of wind. Oh, good Lord, and bicyclers, sorry. Wind and bicyclers, yeah. But a lot of wind comes from the ocean right here with a very high salt content. So a lot of these plants are geared for that, to tolerate all those conditions and to stand up to heavy winds. And we get a lot of water that comes down the street too. This is a traffic area for cars, so you can see this little curb that we put in. This helps hold the landscape in place, all the rocks and stuff, but also helps control water and divert cars and stuff. These are bulky, so cars can run over them without hurting the car and without hurting the plants in the landscape. You see some of these are mostly ground covers and things that'll spread over time, give us a nice impact and a low advantage like that. So you can still see cars, you can still see kids coming and playing. Some of these plants were transplants, they were here. So there were some things in the garden that weren't working and we did a new design. So this is all stuff tolerant for the ocean. You got some big sandcourt grasses that'll come up and get big here and allow more of a garden to be viewed from the inside and give her kind of a block out here. Juan loves snapdragons, so we've got a big old bed of snap in there that are gonna pop pretty soon. It's hard to get sun to these beds in the winter. The sun sits way back in the sky, so some of these houses that have these overhanging porches projects a lot of shadows. You got to really plan for that because you don't get a lot of winter sun in some spots when you do in the summer. We did have a tragedy already. We had aloe here that was squished, but you can see everything's good. Antique brick walkway, driveway, really a classic style. You can see the moss is starting to fill in now. Really cool look. Looks like it's always been here, so that was the idea. With water building up against the house, you can see some old water damage and stuff in here. But we came over and Tim did all this. He's brilliant. Several intersecting pipes that came from the backyard underground here. Tim cut this curb out and was able to put our pipe in, re-cement it. He found another piece of 2-inch. This is a very old style gutter and was able to get this out. So the water doesn't sit up against the house now, it goes out here and it channels through that area we were just talking about a little bit ago. So that's a really cool thing we did. And just some junipers here. She loves to decorate these at Christmas time. These are a really cool juniper if you guys are looking for low junipers that'll give you some impact of that blue Pacific. This is a very pretty plant. This will get to about 7 foot and stop. So this very tight street here, they'll still be able to get through here. We won't have any more casualties like we had here. This is another spot, guys, that you're challenged if you live at the beach. Not a lot of space, not a lot of room to park, and then the city restricts you to your percentage that you can actually put pavers down on. So this is a 1-inch, it's called River Jacks, so it's a 3 different color gravel. It can be blown off if you got leaves all over it. It can be drove all over. You need about a 9 by 20, 9 by 18 area for SUV to park on. So you can see this is just an extension of the driveway now that's aesthetically pleasing and useful. So it's a really good way to add some parking if you need it at the beach. Just coming into the back of the garden, I'm talking a little quieter because there's a sleeping baby. We got a bench area that's going to come in here between the hydrangeas. You can see the mondo, it's starting to fill in really nice. This will be a really cool surfboard rack. Juan's a really good surfer. You can see some of his boards over there. So we just put some gravel here. These were some really big bottle brush that were just taken over. And if you've got a small garden like this, you don't need humongous trees back here. So we took those out and you got a really easy access now. The racks will go against the fence really clean, and then we're gonna put a shed over here to store all the stuff in. And this is kind of just a little tropical garden back here. You see we transitioned from the old school brick to a paver and with a brick border. So we still kept that border going throughout the garden. I thought that was a really pretty look. Then it breaks up the hardscape of everything. All these plants were transplants, so we were able to save all these. Fresh mulch, everything is looking pretty good right now. We've got some new lighting that went in, some new irrigation. So at night, this is a different garden. In these yards that are super shallow and really tight at the beach, you need vertical screen, which is hard to do without encroaching on your walkways. So bamboo, if you can contain it and maintain it, it's a really good choice. So that's a really pretty cane. That's the Alphonse car. It's got the green cane in it. Really a cool plant. She's had a few casualties in winter. Bird of paradise, some things that have passed away that we're going to replace. So that's what you're looking at here. Back in here, this is just a little secret area where the baby comes and they come back here and just relax. It's a totally different landscape back here. You got a lot of tropical things. I included some of that. The Chihuly glass is kind of a mock-up of the Chihuly glass. We got some bikes and things in there, but at night those have really brilliant lights on them. You can see them really pretty at night. Eventually our bougainvilleas, so our trellises will go away and our bougainvilleas will stretch up over the fence and give us a lot of pretty color on the outside road we were just walking on. So you can see it's just a nice little garden in here. Some more color for Juan, his snapdragons, and just some more bamboo for screening. They're they love edible things. So we've got some papayas, some citrus, and we've got an edible garden up on the deck. It's built out of a big wooden planter. It's about 14 by 3. Just a really cool herb garden going on in there right now. So really cool beach lot. You can do a lot with a small area. Don't think that you're confined if your area is not big. You can see the elevation, different walls we built back here. That always adds interest to a garden. Where it's so flat in Florida, you change the elevation, you give it another dimension. You do 2 separate bricks down here to give us some contrast in borders and hardscape, which is hard to do. And you add a lot of really cool things to a garden that's small, but it needs that extra little touch. You know, that's a good way to do it. Again, John Cacchione Earthworks here, Atlantic Beach, Florida. Check us out on YouTube, check us out on Facebook, follow us and get us into your garden. Let's do it, all right? Thanks guys, see ya.